Hey, another review of fasting, that amazing tool that we've been using to reverse diabetes. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level in this year. New year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to reverse their diabetes, get off of diabetes medications. That's what we're working on here in this space. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music to let you know that I'm happy that you are here in this space with us. If you are new and you have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments because I'd love to welcome and answer those questions. Make sure you put a Q in front of that question so we'll know that that's one that we need to get to. We'll get to all of them, but make sure you put that Q in front of it. If you know how we do, right here, I've got some things that we're going to be taking a look at. Here you'll see my meters that are off to the side. I've got my Keto Mojo and my Contour with some strips. And then right down below, this is my Dexcom Clarity Report that we're going to take a look at here in just a moment. So glad that you are here, wherever you're joining us from. Those of you who are on Instagram, those who are on LinkedIn and Twitch and Facebook, of course, and then, of course, on YouTube. Thank you for joining us in this space. Make sure that you say hello. Let us know that you are here. And I see Wendy. Wendy, hey, Wendy says that she's new. Thank you for joining us. Wendy, thank you for being in this space with us. Glad that you are here. And if you do have questions, make sure you put those in the comments because we'd love to get to you. All right, so let's go through and let's do our thing, right? Let's set up. Let's set up first. What are we doing, and why is this important? And so, for those of you who are out there, if you're just joining us for the first time, if you're just finding our channel, finding our content, or even if you've been here, let's kind of review what's going on. As we are working on reversing our diabetes, that is our plan. That is what we're doing. Diabetes is the prototypic metabolic disease. There are over 1 billion on the people on the planet that have diabetes or pre-diabetes. Okay, over 1 billion. And so our goal is to reverse the diabetes. That is, put the diabetes in remission, get you off of medications, and set you up for metabolic success. That is the goal. In doing that, there are several tools that we've learned, and one of the tools that we've learned, of course, is fasting. There are several that we've talked about. If you've not done so, go back and you can watch those on the channel. They're all in the playlist that's called How to Reverse Your Diabetes. So make sure you go there. But you'll see there several tools that we've learned. One of the very first ones that we learned was the tool of fasting. And fasting is a fascinating thing. We'll come back to talk about where that fits. But down at the bottom of that screen, you'll see also, even though diabetes is the prototypic disease, the metabolic disease, all of these other metabolic diseases, and that's not an exhaustive list, all of these also respond to the same types of treatment. Fasting being one of the tools that we're using. And so we want to know, how do we fast successfully? How do we do that so that we can set ourselves up for metabolic success? So if you're asking yourself, well, why are we fasting? That's the reason for fasting. Fasting is one of the tools. And the reason I love fasting, and the reason that we're using fasting, and the reason fasting has become such a big deal, is that fasting hits all the pillars as it relates to reversing diabetes. We decrease insulin, we suppress the appetite, and we reduce sugar. Those are the three pillars. How does that work? Well, if I'm fasting, by virtue of fasting, I'm not putting anything in, right? I'm not eating anything. I'm not eating carbs. I'm not eating any of those. And so by virtue of that, I've decreased the amount of sugar that I'm taking in. That's pillar number 3. When I decrease the amount of sugar, my body doesn't have to make the insulin, or as much insulin, or I don't have to take as much insulin from outside, for those of you who are on insulin. Or I don't have to take medications that force my body to make insulin. So I'm decreasing the insulin. That's pillar number 1. And because insulin is an appetite stimulant, when I decrease it, it automatically suppresses my appetite. You see how that cascade works? And then they begin playing on each other. They could begin feeding on each other. That one feeds on the other, and so on and so forth. As I improve my appetite, then I don't eat as much, right? So I'm decreasing my appetite. So if I'm decreasing my appetite, I'm not eating as much, then I'm not eating as much sugar. If I'm not eating as much sugar, then my body becomes more sensitive to insulin. And notice that second loop that's happening. And the same thing happens for lots of our metabolic diseases. In high blood pressure, one of the reasons that people have high blood pressure because of high insulin or hyperinsulinemia is that insulin makes the vessels less stretchy. That's a medical term. It makes it less flexible. And that means that the vessels are stiffer. That means higher blood pressure. You see that connection? In polycystic ovarian syndrome, one of the things that we believe is that the high insulin dysregulates the pituitary. We're supposed to have a pulsatile release of some of the hormones there, and the insulin level, the high insulin level dysregulates that, so people have abnormal menstrual cycles. Notice the connection. It all goes back to the insulin. And so our goal here in this space is to reverse our diabetes, and those are the pillars. And so now you have an understanding of why insulin or fasting is such an important part of that. It is a tool that we're using because it hits all of those pillars. Here at the beginning, I always go through and I do a check-in to let you know how I'm feeling physically. Right, these are the 3 places where people will have challenges, so we go through those. So physically, I am feeling energetic, and you can tell that, right? Just came from outside. I was walking, exercising, working on a series that we're doing, and so I was videotaping, and so I've got a lot of energy built up. I'm not feeling sluggish or I'm not feeling lightheaded. Yesterday when I checked in, I told you that I did a better job of hydration today, by the way. I did a better job of hydration, and so not feeling woozy. Also, not feeling any shifts in my energy. Right? A lot of times people will say, "Oh, I feel weak. I feel tired." I also slept well last night, which is I had not been doing over the last couple of weeks, but I slept well last night. So physically, I'm doing well. Mentally, I'm clear. I don't feel like although I'm clouded. I don't feel as though I am in a fog, right? That's another thing that people will say they feel during the fasting process. We'll come and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then emotionally, of course, I'm pumped, right? So lots of good things have happened this week for me. Got connected to some people, some new people, had some opportunities show up, and I am just excited to be here. We've made it through another fast for this week, right? And I'll tell you, this week was a little bit more challenging because of the fatigue and because of all the things that were going on. But here I am at the end of the fast, and I'm sitting here hanging out with you. So I'm excited. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my monitors are saying. And you'll see there on the screen, let's start there, that is my Dexcom, and it's saying that my blood sugar right now is 76 blood sugar. And we are 69 plus hours, almost 70 hours into the fast. Okay. And we're going to actually break the fast a little early today just so we can do it here on the show. Okay. So 70 plus hours, almost 71 hours. And then here is my Libre. My Libre says I'm 77. And you'll see there for the last 12 hours, roughly 12 hours. So we've been kind of at 100, a little bit above 100, and then below 70. Not below 70, but 77 is where we are right now. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my Keto Mojo and my Contour are saying. And let's go over here, and I'm gonna have to get another strip. These are, by the way, this is how, I don't think I've showed you this. This is how the strips come for each of those. That's for the ketones, and this one is for, all right, and that one is for the blood sugar. Let's get this out of the way. And so basically, I'm just going to rip one of these off. Put that over there. All right, so those are strips. And of course, we have the one for the contour right here. So let's go ahead and grab that. Get that in, and then for the Keto Mojo, which gives me both blood sugar and ketones, I'm going to open both of them one at a time, right? Because I don't want to have to stick myself again like I've been had to do for some of our shows. All right, so we got that, and then we're going to open this one and just keep it off to the side so it's ready to go in. Okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and grab a lancet. And I've actually gotten an affinity for these little ones. And I think that's because I can press it harder. The spring-loaded one that I was using, I think it wasn't going deep enough. My fingers are a little, the edges of my fingers are a little bit rougher. And so let's go ahead and let's grab, I think I did that same finger. These are actually a little, they're smaller, and so they hurt a little bit more. So let's see if we get, yeah, it's a good enough drop for now. So here is my Keto Mojo. Here is my contour. We'll see what those numbers are. So 69 for the Keto Mojo, and the contour says that I am 71. And then of course on the screen right there, you'll see that, oh, where am I? This guy says that I'm 77. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this one out so we can get our strip in for ketones. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? What do you think my ketones are going to be? So right now, about 70 hours. Let's go ahead and get that started. Okay, and we'll get that running. And of course, like I always do, I'm not going to show you the result as that counts down. And then we're going to come over to this one. All right, so let's see. And let's take a look. I'm going to bring some of these comments up. All right, so let's see if, so Wendy, okay, Wendy says she's new, watching from Long, UK. Oh, Wendy, wow, thank you for hanging out with us. What time is it over there, by the way? Right? And then Lightworks, good evening all. And so Lightworks, where are you watching from? Okay. Steve saying hello to Wendy, and hello Works. And Steve, I wonder where you are, man. What's the time where you are? Wendy said watching from UK, London. Hello. And then Steve said about midnight in the UK. Okay, so Steve, and it is Steve. I am actually at work. Wendy says that she's actually at work. Okay, so it's during the daytime. Okay, yeah. So just tell us what time it is right now. And then, okay, so we look into some of those folks over there. All right. So let's, so Lightworks says Richmond, Virginia. Okay, hey, thank you for hanging out with us. So let's see. Okay, so we've talked about our check-in, and let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's get into our discussion. And so what we're talking about is fasting, right? So on Fridays, as you know, we do a review of fasting, a complete fasting breakdown. And then what are the essentials? What are the essentials? Whenever I talk about fasting, well, let me back up for a second. Let's come at this a little differently. So when I talk to people about the changes that they've seen in me, okay, and we're gonna actually do a show where I show you some pictures of me. But when I talk to people about some of the changes that they see in me, I actually don't tell them that I'm fasting. I'm gonna pause for a minute, let that sink in. So people say to me, "Hey, you know, we love the changes that we've seen. You've done a good job. What are you doing?" And I used to tell them, "Oh, I'm fasting." And when I say, "Oh, I'm fasting," you kind of see that glaze go over their eyes, right? Because I could tell that a wall just went up. And the wall went up because in their mind, they can't fast. In their mind, it is too difficult. And so they don't want to hear anything else. So I would continue talking, and yeah, I could tell it's going in and it's coming out the other side. And for the moment, that person is lost to the process. So when people ask me now, hey, what have you done? I just said, I've struggled for a while with my weight. I've struggled with my blood sugars, and I finally found something that works for me, and it's amazing. And I stop. If the person is interested, they're going to ask more, right? They're going to say, hey, well, tell me more. What's going on? What have you been doing? And then I can get into, some of the thoughts about metabolic disease and fasting and so forth. But if the person is not interested, there's no point in me telling them. There's no point in me explaining anything to them because they're not interested. They're not there yet, right? I was talking to someone this morning, and that was that was what I was saying. So when I go to my doctor, and I told you guys that I have a new doctor because my old doctor sold his practice. So I have a new doctor that I'm seeing. And I am the endocrinologist. I am the guy who treats diabetes. I'm the guy who treats metabolic disease. I'm the guy who treats hormones. Right? So here I am sitting talking to a physician. And often when I have seen physicians in the past, okay, and this is an interesting interaction. When I've seen physicians in the past, some of them have said to me, well, what do you want to do? Right? Because I'm the diabetes guy. So who better to ask than the diabetes guy? So they thought. But I'll say to them, you are my doctor, right? Let's talk about what the best practices are for me as a patient. I have opinions. I have very strong opinions about what I want to do, right? But let's talk about it together. So I don't go in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. As a matter of fact, there are some things I want to do that I haven't done yet because I haven't seen my doctor. My visit's coming up in a week or so. And so when I go, I'm going to say to him, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? So in fasting, for those of you who are out there who are fasting and you are seeing benefits, people are going to start asking you about fasting. And you want to come at fasting as a tool. Notice I keep saying that fasting is a tool. It is not the ultimate. It is not the best. It is not the end all and be all. It is simply a tool that I use in my toolbox. There are other things that we've learned. And so the question becomes, if someone can't fast for whatever reason, and I'm going to say for whatever reason because I don't think there's anybody who can't fast. Let's assume somebody can't fast. Does that mean that they are doomed to not be able to reverse their diabetes? No. So fasting is simply a tool that we use. And it is something in my bag. I know it's a powerful tool, and I use it often. I think I told you about the toolbox that's in my garage. And in the toolbox, there are all kinds of tools. I've got Phillips head screwdrivers. I've got flathead screwdrivers. I've got hammers. I've got pliers. I've got wrenches. I've got, well, the nails are in a different box. But I've got all these tools. And down there in the toolbox, there's a chisel. Yep, chisel. You know what a chisel is? Yeah. Now, my everyday life doesn't call for chisels. Like I can't tell you the last time I used a chisel. But if I need it, guess what? It's in the box. It's in the toolbox. So I can go in there and I can pull it out at any time. But I can sure tell you the last time I used a hammer or used a screwdriver. I use them all the time. Because there's always something that we got to put together or take apart or put down or put up. There's always something going on. And so hammers and screwdrivers are used all the time. So my fasting is like a hammer or a screwdriver. It's something that I pull out very frequently and use. But some of the other tools are like the chisel. They're in the box. If I need them, I go get them. When I'm done with them, I put it back. So I want you to begin thinking about the things that we're doing, thinking about the concepts that we're learning as you building up your toolbox, building up your repertoire of tools that you have access to, that you could then go to and you could pull it out and use it, and you can share that with other people. So what I don't want to happen is I don't want you to get the idea, and I don't want you to promote the idea to everybody that the only thing they can do in reversing their metabolic disease is to fast. It's amazing. It is powerful. It is revolutionary. But it's not the only tool. Okay? So I want to make sure I said that, because as I talk to people, right, people will say to me, oh, I guess I'm doomed. I actually had someone say that to me this week. I guess I'm doomed because I can't fast. Yeah. But we said, right, and we will say again, that you have unlimited ability. You have unlimited potential to chart the course of your metabolic destiny. So we're going to use all the different tools. Okay? So when I talk about fasting, right, I break fasting up into 3 different segments. Preparing for the fast, actually getting through the fast itself, and then breaking the fast. And each segment, each of those is equally as important. How you prepare for the fast sets you up for the fast itself, and then how you break the fast has ramifications for the success that you've had and the benefits that you've received during the fast. If you didn't see our check-in from last night, our last episode, make sure you watch that. It was how do you break through a plateau? And we talked about some of the reasons that we have plateaus. And the plateaus come often because of something in one of those areas, whether preparing for the fast, going through the fast itself, or breaking the fast. Okay? And so we're going to spend our time, next couple of minutes, we're going to go through each of those phases, preparing for the fast itself, and then, of course, breaking the fast. So preparing for the fast. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we prepare for the fast? Preparing for the fast comes in lots of different ways. Okay? And preparing for the fast is key because it prepares your body, particularly if you're doing an extended fast. It also prepares your body if you're doing a shorter fast. So there are people who will feel symptoms. They'll feel something in their body, and if they misinterpret it, then they would think that the fast is causing a problem. So part of preparing for the fast is actually a mindset thing as well. But it prepares the body, gets the body used to and ready for what you're about to do. If you are new to fasting, I don't recommend going for a 72-hour fast. So it's preparing for the fast. It reduces the shock. It minimizes common side effects like fatigue, headaches, irritability. Often people will have those symptoms and they will say, hey, I'm feeling, every time I fast, I have a headache. Or every time I fast, I feel irritable. Every time I fast, such and such happens. And part of it is because we went from no fasting, just our regular sleeping, and we went to a 24 or 36-hour fast. We went to a 72-hour fast. We went to a 48-hour fast. That's not what we want to do. We want to move in that direction. We want to move there slowly, expeditiously, right? But we want to get there, and we don't want to set ourselves up for failure by just rushing in and doing this without preparing, right? So when you get the headache and so forth, part of it is that if you're diabetic, for example, and you're used to high blood sugars, when your blood sugars come down to normal, you start to feel as though your blood sugar is low. You're having lightheadedness, palpitations, dizziness, all the things that you would expect when the blood sugar is low. You're starting to feel that now because your body is so used to having high blood sugars. And so preparing for the fast helps you through that process. It helps maintain focus on your purpose and your goal. So important. Your purpose, your why. Remember, we talked about that. One of our very first tools that we learned was your why, right? Figure out what was your why. Why am I doing this? What am I trying to achieve? And when we're preparing, what we're doing is we're telling our body, we're telling our mind, we're telling our system that we are moving in this direction, and this is the reason why we do it. And so people will say, well, why do I have to keep reminding myself? Because it's important. It's a story that you're telling the brain. In fact, I'm going to get up here in just a little while, go tell my wife I love her. Why? She knows. I think. No, just joking. Right? But yeah, I want to hear it. Right? And it's the same thing here. You revisit the why, and revisit the why, and the why helps to boost your ability to get through the fast successfully. Okay? So why, that's why it's key. So mental preparation, number one. Fasting is not just about abstaining from food. It involves the physical, the mental, and the emotional parts of you. You will feel symptoms in the physical. You will have different thoughts, your mentation, and you will have fluctuations in your emotions in the fasting period. And if you don't understand them, then that can derail you and you will not have a successful fast. So the mentation, very important. So how do we prepare? We want to set clear goals. Understand why you're fasting. Remember SMART goals? Why are we doing this? What is the purpose of doing this? We want to visualize our success because we are in the process of telling our bodies a story to help us see where we're heading. We're visualizing it. If we can't see it, sometimes we can't process. We can't go in that direction. So I want you to begin visualizing the ending of the fast. What are the benefits that I'm going to get? I want you to add color to it. I want you to add structure to it. I want you to put sights and sounds and smells. Now, the richer you make that experience, the richer you make that visualization, the more likely your brain is to say, okay, that's where we're heading. I want you to create that. Right? So we're visualizing. Remember, we're preparing for the fast. We want to educate ourselves. So research the fasting method that you're going to be using. Often we don't succeed because we don't understand. We don't succeed because we don't have structure. We don't succeed because we don't know how it's supposed to work. So for the fasting method that you've chosen, yeah, let's go ahead and let's research it. Figure out how does it work? What are the intricacies of it? We did a show where we broke down the fasting, different fasting methods based on how they work, the timing of them. And then we did a show where we broke them down based on the disease processes that they affect and what they help. So begin researching, okay? And then affirmations. Use affirmations to help you stay motivated during the fast. I am fasting for 72 hours. I am improving my metabolic health. I am doing what it takes to set my metabolic destiny. I am educating, empowering, and encouraging myself to meet my unlimited destiny. I am moving in the direction of changing my family dynamic when it comes to my health. I am improving my community by being a voice. I am improving my family structure. I am improving my family health. I am setting us up for success. Affirmations are important. They help to push us in that direction, and they help to keep us going when we may have those difficult times. And then nutritional preparation. what you do in terms of preparing for the fast is very, very important, because if you don't do a good job during the eating period, then the fasting period doesn't go so well. So you want not calorie dense, but nutrient dense foods. Calorie dense foods are those foods that have lots of calories. They can be highly processed, high sugar content. One of the things that I see often is someone comes into fasting and they do a great job in fasting in terms of, they fast for 24, 36 hours, but they struggle because in the eating period, that period leading up to the fast, they had lots of high carb, highly processed foods. Well, the high carb, highly processed foods will cause a spike in insulin as a result of the spike in sugar. Insulin, even though during the fast it's going down, the insulin was high to begin with, and it makes you hungry. It stimulates the appetite. And so those initial hours of fasting become very difficult. Not because fasting is difficult, but because right before we started fasting, we ate stuff that spiked my insulin. And that sets us up for not a successful fast. We want to increase our water and our electrolytes. Lightheadedness, dizziness, palpitations, all of those can come if we're not well hydrated. Palpitations happen because as your blood volume goes down, the body still has to maintain the same amount of flow to keep oxygen and nutrients going to the cells and to remove toxins. So how do I keep the same regulatory cycle? How do I keep the same detoxification? How do I keep delivering the same amount of oxygen? If my volume is low, I move faster. Right? So if you have a fleet of trucks and you are supposed to go to a particular place and deliver the same amount of stuff, and 2 of the trucks go down, now you have 8. So you started with 10, now you have 8. How do you keep delivering the same amount? You can either pack more onto the truck so that they deliver, right? Each truck is delivering more, or you make the trucks go faster. And that's what the body does when we're dehydrated. So we have palpitation, we have the heart rate that goes up because the blood is having to move faster to keep the same amount of, keep the same process going on. Okay? Nutrition. So you want to reduce the carbs and sugar, like we just talked about, because if you come into the fast with high carbs, high sugar, then we get problems. You want to increase healthy fats, because when you eat healthy fats in the preparation phase, it helps to satiate you, and it keeps you fuller longer, so we don't have that, oh my God, I got to go eat. Okay? It keeps you full. You increase water and electrolytes. We talked about that. And then you gradually decrease your eating window. Now, this is an interesting one, because let's say you're gonna start doing a 24-hour fast. If you currently only fast 7 hours when you're sleeping, that is for most of us, then going from that to 24 hours can be challenging for some people. And so what you want to do is you want to increase the amount of time that you're fasting, and thereby you're shrinking the amount of time that you're eating. So instead of going from 8 to 24, you go from 8 to 10 hours of fasting, 10 to 12 hours of fasting, 12 to 14 hours of fasting, 14 to 16 hours of fasting, 16 to 18 hours of fasting, 18 to 20 hours of fasting, 20 to 22 hours of fasting, and then finally 24 hours of fasting. And as you're doing that, when you get to 12 and 12, you're fasting for 12 hours, you're eating for 12 hours, or within the 12-hour window. Then when you go to 14, now you're fasting for 14, and you're eating during a 10-hour window. When you go to 16, you're fasting during 16, and you're eating during an 8-hour window. Notice that the eating window is getting smaller and smaller. And then gradually we get to where we need to be. Okay? So gradually reduce the eating window. And hydration and electrolytes, make sure that you are drinking plenty of water before the fast. Right? Ensure that you have adequate intake of electrolytes. And there are a lot of different products that are out there. Liquid IV is one. Gatorade has some. Propel has some. Lots of them. I don't mean to call the names of those because those are not necessarily ones that I'm promoting, but those are some that are out there, right? You may find one that you like. Herbal teas, green tea, chamomile tea, peppermint tea, all of these help with hydration, but they also help with relaxation. So it kind of calms you as you're moving into the fast. Remember, the first couple of hours of fasting can be a stress on the body for some people. And then physical preparation, right? You want to make sure that you are getting rest, right? You want to engage in light activity, walking. So I was just out walking, right? Which we've been doing each day. Yoga is another one, right? Improves circulation, reduces your stress. You want to decrease strenuous activities unless you are doing a fasting workout. There is such a thing, right? And that's a whole nother conversation, right? Fasting workout. You want to aim for quality sleep. You want to have 7 to 9 hours of sleep. You want to rest, and we're preparing for that, right? Begin reducing caffeine because caffeine will stimulate you and keep you up longer, and you can have withdrawals during the time when you're fasting. And then you want to improve your environment. There are things that you should not have in your environment because you know that there are triggers. Yeah, right? Like I don't have nuts. Well, I did buy some nuts, by the way, you guys. I bought that yesterday. You want to clear your area. You don't want to go to places where you're going to be triggered. Like I think I mentioned last week, there's no reason for me to go down to the cafeteria at work because I'm not eating. But when I get down there, I see all the people that are there. They look like they're having so much fun in eating, and so I am challenged during that time, but I've done it to myself. I went into that space when I shouldn't have been in that space. So your environment preparation is very good. Okay, prepare distraction. So start thinking about what am I going to do? How am I going to distract myself during this fast? Emotional and social preparation. So you want to inform your family and friends that, hey, I'm getting ready to go into a fast. One of the things I love about what I do is that now people around me know that I fast. Well, it's good and it's bad because they remind me that I'm fasting sometimes when I don't want to be reminded. But my support group is all around now. All right, so my family knows it. You know it. When I'm at work, my patients know it. Right? I'm at church and people know it. Not because I'm broadcasting, hey, I'm fasting today, but they see the show. They ask me questions. They ask other people. Right? In the office, I've got the videos playing in our lobby and in the room. And so people, we're playing the New Year, New You process. And people know that when we do our social media things, right? That's what's out there. So you want to prepare your group, prepare your audience, prepare your family members. Let them know, okay, this is what's going on, and that decreases the stress that you may feel in your interactions with them. Identify emotional triggers and be aware of them. You've got to be mindful. Our emotions are powerful, and they can derail us if we're not careful. Okay? All right. And then the question that we answered, why is preparation key? Because it gets lots of, what are we going to do? Why is preparation key? That's what we learned. But what do we want to do? Here are the things. Get plenty of rest, stay hydrated, reduce stress, and eat nutrient-dense meals. Right? So that's how we prepare. That's how we prepare for the fast. Let's see. So I'm just looking back at our chat. And Lightwork says he's in Virginia. Steve says the hills of North Alabama. Steve said, we love fasting. Our weight loss has been significant. My health is much better than the past. My diabetes is in remission. Look at that. What? Steve. That's what we're talking about, man. Love it. Okay? That's what we're all about. How do we improve? How do we get better? How do we reverse our diabetes? All right. And so that was preparing for the fast. And then the second phase that we want to talk about is how do we get through the fast? What's going on in the fast itself? Um, what do we do? How do we get through the fast itself? And before I get there, I just want to hop back over and highlight a comment that Lightworks just made, and it says, "I would not have made the strides I have if not for fasting. This is a fact, not me wishing it." I love that. Yep. And so here I love that. And let me just hop on that for just a minute. The reason the reason that people will do things is when they see results. Okay? So once again, you don't have to like be the Bible on fasting. You don't have to do a treatise on fasting. You don't have to be the super therapist on fasting. But people are going to notice your improvement. They're going to notice the results that you're getting, and they're going to ask a question. And then you can share with them, okay, this is what I'm doing. Right? So I love that light works, right? So it says, this is a fact, not me wishing it. Right? And you see yourself. You see the benefits. I see the benefits in me. And that's why I get excited when it's fasting windows coming up. Right? Because for so long, for so many years, it was a struggle. And now I have a tool I can grab onto, and I can use that tool whenever I want. I get to use the tool. That's a whole nother conversation for us to have. All right. So how do we do? What do we do in terms of our fasting? All right. Let's move through that. And I usually break fasting up into 24-hour blocks, but we do it here typically a little finer. Usually when we talk to people, it's a 24-hour, then 48-hour, then 72 hours, then 96 hours. But here we're going to do it a little more finely. And so we're going to talk, first of all, about the first 6 hours, 0 to 6 hours. And 0 to 6 hours really is that time when the body, it's called the postprandial. Let me put that back up there for a minute. It's the postprandial phase. So from 0 to 6 hours, the postprandial phase. And the postprandial phase is really when your body is absorbing food. You've just finished eating. The blood sugars are higher, right? Because you've been eating carbohydrates. Insulin level is higher. There's not a lot of ketones in your blood, right? Because you have enough carbohydrates there for the body to be able to run and function there. Energy levels are high because you have ready access to that sugar. I often tell the story. It's kind of like, in that drag race where two people are racing and one of them is losing, and they reach over and they hit that switch and they pop it, and the car goes. You like my car sound? Yeah. So I imagine that what's in that tank is sugar. Because when you get sugar, you get lots of energy. The thing is, just like in the tank though, that tank, you go fast for a while and then it starts to wane. And that's what happens with sugar, with high sugar. Your body gets it and you get lots of energy right away, but then that sugar kind of goes down, and now we get that, oh man, I feel so drained. Right? So first 0 to 6 hours postprandial phase, and what's going on is absorption of all the nutrients from the food. The body's breaking it down and is bringing it into cells. And then the 6 to 12 hours, this is the early fasting phase. And in this phase, the blood sugars are now starting to go down because the body's sucking it up into the cells. So those levels are going down. Insulin levels are going down because remember, insulin and sugar goes together. So the sugar comes up, insulin then comes, and insulin brings the sugar down. So as the blood sugars are going down, so is the insulin level going down as well. And the body is now going into glycogenolysis, right? This is taking the stored energy and turning it back into sugar. Now, this is an interesting part here, a conversation to have. You go to the grocery store and you buy food. And say you go to one of those places where you can buy like a 20-pound bag of rice for $2. Well, you come home and you don't cook the whole bag of rice. You take some out and you cook it, and the rest you put in the pantry, right? So it's off there. It's waiting for when I need it. Well, the ones that the part that you cook, most of us actually cook more than we will eat at that one sitting. And so you've cooked some rice, and the family's eaten, and the leftovers go into the refrigerator. So notice we have three different components of the rice that we bought. We have this part that we're going to eat, which is going for immediate energy. We're going to put some in storage, well, in the refrigerator, which is the leftovers, which is readily accessible, right? We can go there at any time and get it. That's the liver. And then the bag, we're going to take that and we're going to put it in the pantry, and that's the long-term storage. That's the fat cells. Before I go to the pantry to get anything, I've got to deplete the ones that are in the liver, and before I get to the liver, I got to deplete what's in the blood. All right, so notice that process. And in the process of the glycogenolysis, in the postprandial phase, I've taken that and stored it, right, in the liver. And now in this early fasting stage, the body is now going back to the liver, the refrigerator, and pulling out what's there. It's readily accessible. All you have to do is warm it up. So the body goes to the liver and it pulls out what's there readily. Getting it out of the fat cells, out of the pantry, is a little bit more work compared to just going to the refrigerator, grabbing it, putting it in a plate, microwave, eating it. Okay? All right. And then the next 24 hours, when we talk about 12 to 18 hours, this is where we're transitioning to using fat. So glucose levels are continuing to go down. Insulin levels are continuing to go down. The liver now is saying, okay, we need to start thinking about where we're going to get energy from. And so it starts to release some free fatty acids, which are coming from the fat stores. Okay? The liver starts gluconeogenesis. This is where it's making sugar from non-sugar sources. So it's now going out and it's finding the fatty acids or free fatty acids. It's finding the triglycerides. It's breaking off the fat part and it's taking the glycerol and it's converting it to sugar. Right? So energy levels may dip during this time, as the body's making that or thinking about making that transition, or in the process of making that transition. And then 18 to 24 hours, right, ketosis begins. And so you begin to see ketones in the blood. The fat oxidation is increasing. And the body is now saying, hey, my glycogen, the refrigerator is empty. Right? I have no more rice in the refrigerator. I need to go find some rice in the pantry and get that ready for us to eat. Right? I love that. I love that analogy. I'm gonna use that one. So refrigerator, cooking, eating, then the refrigerator, get some storage, and then the pantry is the long-term storage. Think about that, right? You heard that here, by the way. Okay? So once again, we're talking about fasting, and we're talking about the actual fast. We've done the preparation for the fast. Now we're actually going through the fast, and we've been doing 12-hour blocks or 6-hour blocks. So that's up to 24 hours. And then we get into the beyond 24 hours, 24 to 36 or 30 hours. This is our fat adaptation. So the body is now switched over, and it's burning in earnest fat to make energy. So significant increase in ketones now. So we start to see that level go up because blood sugars have gone down. When blood sugar go down, the insulin goes down. When insulin goes down, now we've got to say, hey, we can begin burning fat, and the ketone levels are going up. Fat oxidation increases, more fatty acids are released and converted into ketones. Your energy levels begin to stabilize because we have now a more steady, more robust source of energy. Remember, with blood sugars, the blood sugars go like this. So blood sugar goes up, insulin comes down, it takes it out. And then it goes and finds some more and then raises the blood sugar, and then insulin comes down and takes, right? So we're always on that roller coaster. But with the fat, right, we have ample amount of fat, most of us. And so the body is continually in the process of producing that. It's a steadier, more robust source of energy in the body. And I love that. Right? I gotta think of an analogy for that. Somebody, if you're out there, what's an analogy for that stable sugar or stable energy? I often think about superheroes. Maybe Iron Man, right? Remember when he had the old arc reactor and it was kind of fizzing, right? And then he takes that out and he puts the new one in, and it's like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe that's what I'll use. Okay. All right. So adaptation is going on, and so we are now fully in the ketogenic state, and we are running on ketones. We've got that source of energy. We've got mental clarity. Autophagy has started during the 18-hour, and I don't think I mentioned that. Autophagy, which is the cellular cleanup process, is going on, and it is in full force now as we move further into the fast. That's our 24 to 30 to 30 hours. Yep. Love it, love it, love it. And so when we talk about fasting, once again, we have our preparing for the fast, we have our fast, and then, of course, we have breaking the fast. And how we break the fast is just as important as how we get into the fast. So let's hop into that. So in the fasting process, I want you to know that I recommend for everyone that we monitor blood sugars. I'll pause there, put a pin. I recommend you monitoring the blood sugars because we want to know how various activities, how various emotions, how various foods are affecting our body. So that's the reason for monitoring blood sugars, because you can then make some decisions about things you eat or not eat based on those blood sugars, based on the monitor that you're seeing. So make sure, right? So monitor, monitor, monitor. Did I say that enough? Monitor. And then you want to talk about portion control. Now, a lot of us, and when we are not mindful, when we're not careful, when we don't plan, we end up eating more than we should because we're not mindful of portions. So even good things that you can eat too much of them. Right? And everybody talks about the different meal plans, different eating plans. You know somebody on all the different meal plans who is still overweight, who still has diabetes, who still has all these things. And part of that could be, because part of the blood sugar issue could be the portions. It's not like they're eating horrendous things, right? They're not throwing back donuts and eating ice cream and drinking tons of juice, but the amount that they're eating of the things that they're eating sets them up for metabolic disease. So portions are very, very important. Make sure that you're mindful of that. And then eating slowly. When you eat slowly, you give yourself a chance to savor and enjoy the food. If you're eating fast, when you just shove it in and just gobble it down, then it doesn't even register and we don't enjoy it. But when we are taking our time, when we're eating slowly, then we can enjoy the process. We can enjoy the food. We can feel the textures. We can sense the flavors and all the richness that go around the experience. And then we enjoy it more. We're more satisfied and we're less likely to go and try to get more. Okay? And then, of course, avoid sugary, highly processed foods. That is important because the highly processed foods, highly sugary foods, will stimulate the appetite. And when the appetite is stimulated, it's on, right? That sugar, it's almost like it. I was gonna do something else, but it's almost like trying to not breathe. Right? Hold your breath. See how long you can hold it. Eventually, you're gonna breathe. Why? Because the body says, hey, let's breathe. And the hormones are like that. When insulin comes out, it will push you in that direction. So we want to make sure we're hydrated, just like during the fast and just like preparing for the fast. We want to make sure we're hydrated. We want to make sure that we're using water. You can use water, coconut water, unsweetened. Herbal teas are very good because they also continue to soothe you. Proteins, make sure you're eating good proteins because that will help you stay satiated longer. Right? That means that you're feeling fuller longer. If you're eating things that are just going away, highly processed foods, then your body's going to say, hey, put something else in my stomach. So eggs, chicken, turkey breast, tofu, tempeh, all of those are things that you can eat in that post fast period. Healthy fats, avocados, nuts, seeds, very important, very good. I've got some nuts that I'm going to um, throw on what I'm going to break my fast with. I have it here in the bag. Just a minute, I'll show that to you. I brought that home from the office. All right, and then broths, right? Vegetable broth, bone broth. Those are all things that you can use for breaking the fast, and also they help you to stay hydrated, and they can help you maintain some ketosis even though you're eating. You're putting calories in, but because there's not a lot of carbs, you can extend the ketosis. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful. And so, considerations when you're breaking the fast, choose foods that help you maintain stable blood sugars. You want to use low glycemic index. Those are foods that are glycemic index of 50 or less. Lean protein, healthy fats, and of course, maintain good hydration. Maintain good hydration. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look really quickly at my glucose report. And then we'll come back and we'll take a look at what my Keto Mojo says my ketones are. All right, so, but right below that is my report for my Dexcom Clarity. Let's start with this view. I like this one. Okay. So you'll see there my average blood sugar is 128. And let me grab my mouse. There we go. So yeah, so 128 is what you see there. I'm in target 94% of the time, and that target is 70 to 180 with a glucose management indicator of 6.4. So if I were to get an A1C based on this number, this average, then my A1C would approximate 6.4. It's not an absolute, but that's what I would expect it to be. And then if I do a 90-day, this is probably going to be like 135 or something like that. 134 is my average with a glucose management indicator of 6.5. And I'm in target 87% of the time. 70 to 90 is my target range. If I look at my daily graph, and we are right now 70 plus hours of fasting. And so we started fasting here, okay, right about here. And blood sugar was 106, 103, 106. 24 hours later, right about there, blood sugar is 101. And then 24 hours after that, at 48 hours, we're 99. And then, not quite there yet, but right here, we're at 75 blood sugar. All right, so I love that. I love that. Beautiful. And then what do you think my ketones are? What do you think my ketones are going to be? Let me hop over and pull over my Keto Mojo app and get rid of this one. I'm going to pull this out. Go ahead and get that started. And then get us synced. So if you think you know, go ahead and drop that in the comments. What do you think it's going to be? Yeah, what do you think it's going to be? Drum roll, please. And my ketones are 1.9. All right, so blood sugar 69, ketones of 1.9. Now in the middle, you'll see that 2.0, right in the middle. And you know, we have not talked about the glucoketo index in a while. So we'll come back and we'll do a deep dive into that. But right now, you'll see at the bottom, my ketones are 1.9, glucose is 69. If I look at the actual graphs, the tan line, that's blood sugar, and then the turquoise line is ketones. So let me go back to last week. When I stopped fasting and I started eating, you'll see there that the ketones, the turquoise line, started going down, and the tan line went up. So my blood sugar, as it went up, the ketones went away because insulin came out, and insulin and ketones can't be together. And so when the ketones are high, or when the insulin is high, the ketones have to go down. And then as I started fasting, you'll see there that the blood sugars are dropping, so that's the tan line, and then the ketones are going up. That's the turquoise line, right? And then let's hop over here, and this is where we are today with ketones up here at 1.9 and blood sugar down here at 69. When we talk about ketones, ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and above 1.5 is therapeutic ketosis. Okay? And so we want to maintain ketones that are in the 0.5 to 1.5 range, because that's where we get our fat burning, we get our insulin sensitivity improvement, we get all of the metabolic benefits that we talk about when we talk about ketones. Now, let me hasten to say, if you are not fasting for extended and you're not maintaining ketosis, you can still get benefit, right? Because the fact that you're not eating during your fasting window, that means that your insulin levels are going down. Well, sugar's going down, first of all. Insulin levels are going down. When insulin goes down, appetite gets suppressed. When appetite gets suppressed, you don't eat as much, right? See the cycle? And then when insulin goes down, then we stop storing fats. We stop storing energy. And the body says, hey, let's go use some of that up. Okay? All right. And then, so I'm going to mute here for just a minute because I got a bag that I've got to open up. Because I'm going to show you what I'm going to break my fast with. All right, and so here is a salad. And this is a salad that I brought home, right? I think I made, got salad. I've got some dressing that we're going to put on there, okay? I was going to put some nuts on it, but I'm not going to do that right now because we're going to break it right here with you on the show. So let's do that. And I hope you can see that. It's a delicious looking salad. We've got some cheese in there. This is some turkey. Right here we've got some red onions and some tomatoes. Now I have, traditionally not done the tomatoes, and you guys know that, but I added those in there because tomatoes can cause my blood sugars to spike. Right now, what I don't have, and I was a little annoyed with them, they didn't have banana peppers. All right, so how much dressing do you think is a serving, by the way? All right, that's probably more than a serving, but that's all right. All right, and then let's go over here. All right, so this is my first meal in over 70 plus hours. Here we go. Wow. That is delicious. So what's the most recent thing that you broke your fast with? Let's go over here and let's take a look at some of these comments. Hey, Jennifer. Jennifer said, howdy from Nebraska. And Teresa's saying, hey, doctor and everyone. Steve say, hello, ladies. Steve was guessing 1.9, and we were 1. What were we? Were we 1.9? Steve, did you guess that, or did you say that after? Okay. And then Teresa, thumbs up. And Teresa saying, yum, 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 I'm hungry. Yeah, Teresa, this is good. Now, I was going to use some broth. That was the plan. Well, broth and then the salad. But I went walking, and I came back right before the show. So I didn't get to do the broth. Mm. You know what? What people like, and this is all in the science of food, right? People like textures. Like I love the crunch. Of course, do I have a napkin? I love the crunch. I love the flavors, the textures. So amazing. Mm, delicious, delicious. So anyway, so that's what I'm breaking my fast with today. Delicious. You see that here? I see it on my monitors. I might do it behind the scenes so you guys can see more of where I am. All right. Oh, look at these. Let me put this up. Teresa says broth, nuts, and chicken. Steve says spare ribs, wings, and creme brulee. Steve, do you know that I still haven't eaten your gift to me yet? I got to do that. It was at the office, so I got to bring it home. And Teresa said he guessed it. And Steve said he used a mathematical formula to guess my ketones. Yeah, so there are ways out there to estimate, by the way. So Steve, which one did you use? Yeah, which formula did you use? So like works. So question on turkey. Turkey in regards to processed meat. I stopped eating. Excuse me. I stopped eating deli meats. That is like Oscar Mayer. How do you know, as far as making healthy choices? Last time I broke my fast was rotisserie chicken. And so Lightworks. Let me go back to. Let's see. Let's go back to one of our challenges, and I think it's this one. So these are the types of foods that we recommend. Okay, and we want to minimize. So let's say whole foods. We want to minimize processed foods, right? So that would be processed foods like turkey. By the way, no added sugar, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, healthy fats, lean protein, tasty, and appropriate portion sizes. Okay? So we want to minimize processed foods. But there's turkey, which is processed, on my plate. Minimize, right, as much as you can. Now, I could have taken the turkey off and done like you did, Lightworks. Excuse me. To put rotisserie, yeah. So that is healthier. Let me say that to you first of all. That is healthier than the turkey, than the processed turkey. So you are absolutely correct. Too many ketones and added. Oh, took my ketones and added 0.5. Oh. Yeah, so Steve and I tend to have ketones that are similar to each other. I think the last couple of times we've been off. So like we said, sometimes I feel like the only mm, sometimes I feel like the only thing I have left to eat is cardboard. Mm, mm, mm. I love that. So let me come over here. Let's talk about that. There's this idea of deprivation. So remember when I started the whole thought, I said I don't tell people anymore what I do in terms of my improvement in my metabolic health unless they ask. And the reason I don't tell them is because of this idea of deprivation. We've convinced us ourselves, medical community and everyone else, that we're depriving ourselves. And I want to let me tell you a scenario. So I love westerns. I don't know why. I think my dad liked them, and so yeah, I like them. You know, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Big Valley, all those movies. And so I imagine one of these movies. And I don't think I've ever seen this scene in a movie, but I imagine a kid is sitting on the back of one of those wagons that's going across the country, and they're going, and the adults are talking up front, and the kid is on the back, and he's cutting on a piece of wood, carving something, and the wagon hits a bump, and the kid falls off. And for the rest of the movie, you see him chasing behind the wagon trying to catch up. But the people who are driving the wagon don't realize he's off. And so he's frustrating. He's falling. Sometimes he's almost there. He's almost getting ready to grab, and the wagon takes off again or hits another bump, and he falls. He skins his knee. And the entire movie, that's his lot in the movie, to try to catch the wagon. And that's where most of us are in our thought process when it comes to food. But Lightworks, I want to give you a different process. I want to give you a different scenario. I want you to imagine that same movie, and there's a stagecoach, and we are on the stagecoach. That kid is on the stagecoach. And the stagecoach pulls into a town, and the kid looks out, or you look out, and says to himself, hey, this is a nice town. I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to look around. I'm going to see what's here. And when the stagecoach comes again, I'll get back on. Because we know a stagecoach is coming tomorrow, or the next day, or next week, or whatever the schedule is. We know when the stagecoach is coming. And when the stagecoach reaches the town, we get back on. Because we made the decision. The first instance is out of our control. It is frustrating. It's unnerving. It is a terrible idea in our minds. Because we're totally out of control. But the second one, we get to make the decision. We get to decide when we get off. We get to decide how long we stay. We get to decide when we get back on and continue our journey. Okay? So as we're thinking about food, I want us all to be in the space where we are taking ownership of the food. We're taking ownership of what we do. We understand what the food is going to do, but we have decided that that's the space that we're going to be in right now. It's my birthday, and so I am going to eat the chocolate lava cake that they have over here at one of the restaurants with the a la mode, with the caramel that's dripping down. But I understand what it's going to do, and I have a plan for how I manage my sugar as a result of that. It's why at family dinner or Thanksgiving or Christmas, when you have that one person that's being good, they're sitting at the table and they're eating, little finger foods, and they're eating celery and rice cakes and all that. And everybody praises them for how good they are. But then when everybody goes to sleep and comes back down in the morning, the food is gone. And like, well, who ate the food? Well, it was that same person. Why? Because they had the deprivation mentality, scarcity. And when they started eating, it was like, well, I don't know who's going to come. I don't know if I can have some more tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to have to fast again. And so let me go ahead and eat as much as I can right now. So when we end up eating, we eat a lot more. So in your so in your thought process, I want us all to know that we don't have to eat cardboard. We can make choices to eat some things that we like, understanding how our body responds to them, and understanding that we are making the choice not to eat them and not somebody else telling us you can't have it. It's a long explanation. Hopefully that helps Lightworks. Awesome. All right, so that's it, y'all. And I'm gonna get back to my salad here in just a minute. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you in your metabolic health. Understand that you have unlimited potential. You have the ability to chart your destiny. You can make changes right now to what you do so that you can set yourself up for success in the future. We do that with the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We do the podcast, we do the blogs, we do the shows. Right? We empower with the tools that we learn, and we encourage with the community that you're a part of. Remember, there are always things that are in our environment, things that will push us in our direction of getting off our eating plan. That's given by the HEAT model: habits, emotions, access, and taste. Make sure you get back and watch the show that we did. But when you show up, when you come here, when you've decided that, okay, this is what I want to do, we want you to get involved. Do the challenges. Each month we have one. We're going to be reviewing the next one coming up here on our show on Monday. Right? Those are the ways that you learn and you begin practicing the things that we are learning here. Also, tell your story. Share the successes that you're having. Share the struggles that you're having. Right? Because we get to know if you can do it, we can do it as well. And we're a community. We're not alone. We can come around you. We can rally around you. And I bet you the issue that you're having, somebody else has thought about it or has gone through it. And we get to share that with each other. We educate, we empower, and we encourage each other. And then share this with somebody. Invite a friend. Don't let this just be your secret. This is too good for you to put in your pocket. There are over 1 billion people on the planet with diabetes or pre-diabetes. You can be a voice for change in their lives. And then remember our pillars for reversing diabetes. We decrease our insulin, suppress our appetite, and reduce sugar. That's why fasting is such a powerful tool that we're using right now in this space. As always, I'm happy when I get to spend some time with you. We get to hang out and we get to share. We've got some great things coming up. We've got videos from the vault coming up tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central, Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, This Week in Review. And then we'll be right back here on the channel, 7 p.m. Central for Dwain Woode, MD, Live. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you all for hanging out. And well, let me just bring a couple comments before I do that. Lightwork says, I like your approach. When I met with a nutritionist, it was no, 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 no. I'm West Indian, and the nutrition out, moderation. I love it, love it. So Lightworks, do you know what I was cooking this morning? I was making some curry, by the way. Yeah, some curry chicken. And then Teresa said, you can come up with a plan at Lightwork. Awesome. Oh, what happened? Did that go away? I'm not sure. You can come. Many tasty dishes, Light. Blah, 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 blah. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, and gals, thank you for hanging out with me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Have a great great weekend, and we'll see you on our shows through the weekend, and then back here for Dwain Woode MD Live Monday, 7 p.m. Central. Good night, everybody.